Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, the Prime Minister says the former government cost the country $32 million following Hurricane Matthew.
A unit will be appointed to focus exclusively on allegations against ex-cabinet ministers.
Well, that break-in right here at the Customs Warehouse building will cost the government $3 million to relocate. We've got the details on that report.
Our news is brought to you by Alive, the nation's newest and best LTE network.
Good to be alive.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina McNeil. Topping news tonight, the secret Baha-Mar deal has been unsealed, according to Prime Minister Dr. Minnis, who promised on the campaign trail that a Free National Movement government would have the documents made public. He made the announcement as he wrapped up debate in the House of Assembly this afternoon on the 2017-2018 budget.
I am therefore pleased to announce that on Thursday, the 15th of June, 2017, pursuant to an application made by the Office of the Attorney General, the Supreme Court of the Bahamas granted its sanction and approval for the disclosure and release of the heads of terms.
The former government signed an agreement with the Export-Import Bank of China in August 2016 to get the troubled Baha-Mar project completed and open. The opposition expressed outrage over the decision to have the agreement sealed by the Supreme Court. However, the Christie administration argued that it was the bank that requested the deal be sealed. However, Minnis says the Supreme Court approved the disclosure and release of the heads of terms with the approval of all involved.
This was with the consent of the other stakeholders to the agreement. As promised during our campaign, we have unsealed the deal. While it is the case that the previous government did not specifically make an application to the court for the sealing of any of Baha-Mar documents, the heads were requested to be linked to an affidavit and suite of documents, sweet, sour, bitter, whatever.
Minnis' announcement comes nearly 2 weeks after opposition leader Philip Brave Davis asserted that the PLP government's agreements with Baha-Mar and its stakeholders are in the best interest of Bahamians. Minnis tabled the documents in the House of Assembly this afternoon and outlined what's included in them.
Documents which were ordered sealed on an application made by lawyers for the XM, what? XM Bank. Anyhow, moving forward, I'll just say bank. Those documents contain sensitive commercial materials relating to the process for the advertising, bidding, and sale of Baha-Mar assets and remain sealed. Mr. Speaker, I now have the honor and pleasure to table in this honorable House the following documents. The head of terms dated 22nd of May 2016, which I shall hereinafter refer to as the agreement for convenience, as well as a short amendment made to it by a side letter dated 25th of April 2017.
Well, Minnis also accusing the Christie administration of using Hurricane Matthew to channel money to certain companies and asserted that by choosing not to continue with an insurance policy, the former government cost the country over $32 million. He called this irresponsible and gross incompetence. He says the Attorney General has been asked to review this matter and take possible action. Minnis also revealing that one vendor received checks and vouchers totaling over $8 million for cleanup efforts in the aftermath of that storm, which devastated parts of the Bahamas in 2016. Kyle Joaquin reports.
Because what you have done to this country should never, ever happen again.
In his first address to Parliament as Prime Minister, Dr. Hubert Minnis came out swinging. He said the decisions made by the Christie administration before and after Hurricane Matthew cost the country millions of dollars, a bill that Minnis said could have been covered if the previous government hadn't discontinued its tropical cyclone policy for 2016. He read a letter he received from the CEO of the Caribbean Catastrophic Risk Insurance Facility at the end of May.
He stated, I'll show you the letter if you want it too, so don't write nothing. Yeah, I'll give it to you. Based on the registered losses, it means that had the government of the Bahamas renewed its tropical cyclone policy 2016-2017, they lied to me and you, using the various years' policy conditions, attach point, exhaustion point, and premium, the policy would have triggered, now listen now, the policy would have triggered, resulting in a payout of approximately $31.8 million, equal to the coverage limit.
Opposition leader Brave Davis then sought to explain why the insurance policy was discontinued.
My recollection on this issue was that advice was obtained, which advice was followed in respect to continuing that policy. And the reason for that is that because of the archipelagic nature of our islands, that losses were not dealt with in that fashion, in the fashion of us being archipelagic. So if damages in Long Island, then they took into account all of the islands to determine what the losses would be.
Still, the Prime Minister called the decision irresponsible and made the decision to activate the insurance policy. He said the insurance only cost $900,000, yet the country lost over $32 million because of what he called a poor decision. Minnis also addressed contracts issued for Hurricane Matthew cleanup. According to Minnis, over $28 million was spent on post-Matthew cleanup. One company in particular, Ash Enterprises, according to Minnis, received 46 payment transactions totaling $7,056,348.
On the 18th of January, 2017, Ash Trucking, he got a check for $250,000. On the 20th, 2 days later, so he good. On the 20th, he got a check for $206,400. But then he came back that afternoon on the 20th and got another check for $220,912. But that wasn't enough. He came back on the 20th and got another check for $225,750. Then he came back on the 26th of January and got a check for $206,400. I could provide this to you. Don't write, it's all here.
But Minnis said it didn't stop there.
This same vendor was awarded 3 contracts in the name of 3 companies as follows. Earth Movers Incorporated Company, $240,000 for cleaning and sorting debris at Howard Road dump site for 2 months. That's a good pay, $240,000 for 2 months. Heavy Truck Line Services, next company, Heavy Truck Line Services, $619,560 for cleaning and sorting debris at the Sports Center dump site for 3 months. Right? An Industrial Heavy and Duty Equipment Company, $198,000 for cleaning and sorting at Carmichael and Bacardi Road dump site for 3 months.
But that was just one of the issues Minnis hit on. As he promised on the campaign trail, the Prime Minister advised Parliament that he has asked the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to contact the governments of the United Kingdom and Singapore to assist with the overhaul of anti-corruption legislation, which would include an asset confiscation bill.
How this works, Mr. Speaker, if I enter this Parliament with $100,000, at the end of 5 years, I'm worth $6 million. I must explain it. And if I can't, your asset goes to the people.
Minnis said he also advised the Attorney General to accelerate the process of establishing an independent DPP. Minnis said his style of leadership is far different from that of former Prime Minister Perry Christie. He said, unlike Christie, he will lead with discipline. For our news, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Well, the National Security Minister says the government will remain resolute and will not sweep anything under the rug when it comes to getting to the bottom of whether taxpayers' money was appropriately spent under the former administration. Giorgio Bain reports.
Minister of National Security Marvin Dames confirms that a unit will be appointed by the Commissioner of Police to focus exclusively on allegations brought up in the budget debate against ex-cabinet ministers.
The police certainly, they have indicated, the Commissioner and his team, that given the growing number of complaints that are coming to their attention, the need to put in place a unit who will focus exclusively on these matters. People have a right to know.
Dames asserted that no one is above the law. Minister of Works Desmond Bannister said in the House of Assembly last night that Attorney General Carl Bethel should determine whether legal action should be taken against members of the former Christie administration for abusing their legal authority with regard to money used for BAMSI and other projects. Dames said they will get to the bottom of this.
This shouldn't even be a debate. You know, when people misappropriate or steal taxpayers' monies, then they ought to be accountable. You know, there ain't no, give this one a break or give that one a break. If we can go and arrest a young man on the streets for a joint, then we can arrest a public figure for stealing taxpayers' money.
The aim of the investigation is to determine guilt and to avoid claims of victimization, according to Dames.
We want to ensure that as the police investigate, that we're being fair, so that at the end of the day, no one can say, well, I'm being victimized, and and so the police certainly will be led by the evidence, and already they are hard at work. And I'm certain you will hear more as they continue to bring these matters to a head.
Education Minister Jeffrey Lloyd also commented on whether these ex-cabinet ministers should face legal action.
I see no reason why anybody can take a pass in that respect. So wherever there might be evidence, credible evidence that can be placed before a court of law that shows that anybody in the system would have acted in a way that was of a detriment to the Bahamian people, those persons need to be brought before a properly established court of law and be made to give an answer for their actions. No question.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Giorgio Bain.
The former administration was complicit in certain irregular acts, according to Minister of Public Works Desmond Bannister, who last night told parliamentarians that in many respects, BAMSI became a free-for-all. Bannister slammed the former administration, claiming the PLP administration's conduct in regard to the male and female dormitories at BAMSI are prime examples of wrongful acts that may come back to haunt them. Now, Bannister says the Attorney General will have to determine whether legal action will be taken. Bannister was referring to claims made by subcontractors of Andarco Construction, which was awarded a $2.6 million contract for the female dorm at BAMSI. The contract was eventually terminated. However, the former administration paid Andarco for the work it had completed, as well as alleged subcontractors who Andarco claimed were owed $1.1 million, more than 1/3 of the contract price.
Those subcontractors would have had an agreement with the contractor, not the government of the Bahamas. And our money should not have been wasted in this manner. If the contractor did not pay them, they should have taken action in the courts. Now the Attorney General will have to decide whether to take legal action against members of that PLP cabinet for their misfeasance. And there's the male dorm at BAMSI, which was burned down in January 2015 and never rebuilt. Bannister says the contractor, Audley Hanna, claimed he owed more than $800,000 to subcontractors and suppliers, which those same subcontractors claimed they were only owed $552,000. In an amazing case of misfeasance, the former administration offered to pay $220,000 $40.91 to these people. One company that did not even make a claim to the ministry was offered $28,000 $74.50. And another that did not make a claim was offered $24,124.
And there's more. Bannister says the Attorney General will make the decision as to whether legal action is imminent.
The Honorable Attorney General will have to decide whether to take legal action against ministers in the outgoing administration who made these outrageous decisions to waste the people's money. Decisions that were not justified at the time and cannot be justified now. And if anybody disagrees with me, I have a burnt down male dormitory to sell them. And if anyone on the other side wants to challenge me, they know that there's much more that I can say.
Bannister says he has the schedule of payments to back up his claims, and the Bahamian people did not get value for money with respect to the pricing of contracts for BAMSI. But he added that the government is prepared to move forward with BAMSI.
The BAMSI construction project needs to get on track with targets and finish within a reasonable time frame. It has already been announced that an audit of the BAMSI account is imminent. The chaos of its beginning will now be put behind us as we bring order to the process. We look forward to completion in the next fiscal year.
The Public Works Minister hinted that he has more to say on BAMSI, but will hold some for a later time. In other news, when thieves broke into and ransacked the Bahamas Customs warehouse earlier this month, the press secretary said they cost that department hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue and the government millions to relocate that warehouse. April Sands tells us more.
Well, the government is standing in limbo on a relocation of the customs office building that was broken into right here near Lynden Pindling International Airport. It's said to be a big inconvenience to the department as it's expected to lose some $600,000 in revenue, depending on the decision of the new location.
The repairs to that building is going to cost in the region of $3 million.
As police investigations continue into the recent break-in at the Customs warehouse building and the theft of just a little under $1,000, the government is considering whether to relocate operations to Gladstone Road or the Sky Bahamas building. During his weekly briefing at the office of the Prime Minister this afternoon, Press Secretary Anthony Newbold revealed the relocation would cost the government millions of dollars in expenses and result in a loss of revenue.
Of course, one of the other options is the Sky Bahamas building, but you know, the Deputy Prime Minister is part of Sky, so he had to recuse himself from the discussion. Sky, again, that building was recommended by the Controller of Customs. They're still looking at it, as important as it is. No decision was made. Again, as we know, the DPM is involved with Sky.
According to police reports, someone drove a forklift into a wall at the Bahamas Customs warehouse near Lynden Pindling International Airport just over a week ago and ransacked the building. The culprits reportedly broke into the building where freight is stored and used the forklift to remove items. Assistant Commissioner Clayton Fernando told our news today. So far, they have discovered that just under $1,000 was taken. However, investigations continue, and the search for suspect continues as well. Newbold says this incident has left them at a serious disadvantage. Reporting for our news, I'm April Sands.
Still to come on our news, police taking action following theft at BPL. That and more when our news returns.